Hey guys, it's Christian Senior back from CNH Smallging in for another informative review video. This one deals solely with firearms because what in front of me, what I have, what I have in front of me right now is the actual bolt guts of your Vepr 12 shotgun. This is actually out of my second one that I basically took the bolt out and stripped the paint off and polished it with about 800 up to about 1500 grit sand, or it's wet dry paper basically. And I just want to highlight some of the actual areas where you want to polish it up on there for reference right here, because one of my buddies on Facebook and YouTube want me to make some kind of a close-up review video about what I was making in my past YouTube video as well too, so I can show you exactly where you want to highlight all the parts exactly at on your bolt and bolt carrier and spring recoil assembly as well too, guys. So I'll show you what you got to do here for that. Get this thing out of the way here. Okay, the first thing is you want to take your bolt and bolt carrier out of your gun first off, obviously, and you want to basically personally I would recommend soaking all the parts in like gasoline. I basically let all these parts soak in gasoline for about 24 hours, and that basically gets underneath the paint and basically lifts it up off the actual bare metal for that. So that's the first thing I'd recommend right there. Soak it in gasoline, preferably when it's outside, when it's warm. It's about 75 degrees out here right now with low humidity, so I left it sit outside practically the whole day, overnight until the following next day. And that basically peels off the paint. I don't know what kind of paint they actually use on here, but it's like some kind of enamel or something on there, but I really don't like it personally. And by doing what I did right here, it basically takes off the paint with hardly any problem, and all you have to do is follow up with like a slight nylon brush, and it'll basically peel right off, almost like a banana peel right there for that. And once you get it down to bare metal, just spray the piss out with brake cleaner so the actual metal is basically dry. And the next step you want to polish is the actual components. I'll show you here exactly right now, so let me get my pen here for that. Okay, the first thing that you should polish on your well, I basically did 1, 2, 3 over here. The first thing I did was polish up top piece on the outside of your actual bolt carrier spring over here. You want to polish this outside, polish the top side, and you also want to polish the inner side right here as well too. Polish this area if you can get to it. Since I just did this a few months back right here, I only polished the inside top level right here. This actually contacts right against this piece right here on top of this bolt carrier. Let me see if I can show you a better picture. Sorry about this, guys. Got some glare out here right now. This piece, this flat angle piece right here, this contact basically right along here, this whole slightly angular area. So you want those two pieces to catch, or I should say have them polished, and they're sliding up and down against each other right there. Then the second piece, which you can't really do anything about, is the actual inner piece along here, this actual U-shaped piece right here. I really don't worry about that. I just basically compensate for not polishing that by polishing the piss out of the top, where you see this U-shaped railing right here where your spring assembly fits up in there. You want to polish the outer side all along here as well too. You want to basically have almost that like near mirror shine if you possibly can, because that's the only area where you can't really get to your recoil spring assembly right there, the actual keeper part right there for that. And as usual, just polish the rest of the bolt up till it's like maybe like a semi-gloss, we want to call it on there for that. But it took about overall for me, I'm doing it with basically piss poor, just sandpaper right here. You see right here, it's basically 1500, 1000, 800 grit, stuff like that. And it took about 4 hours to do as well too. And everything, as I said before in the last video, you want to polish your bolt carrier bottom piece right here. Let me see if I can get a better angle here for you. There we go. You want to slick this thing up real slick on there like that. You want to have that piece extremely tight, or I'd say have it so it's not tight against the bolt and firing pin hammer down there. You want to basically remove all paint off that, plus you want to have it nice and polished, so it's no longer tight. And because if it's a high gloss, high mirror shine, it'll be extremely slick on her for that, so it'll slide like butter over top your bolt hammer and do that. So it'll greatly increase the what I call reliability and cyclic ability of the actual rifle, so it'll cycle back and forth with relative ease. Right, there'll be something, like I said before in the previous video, some of the ammunition will make your gun choke, and this should definitely help the gun to cycle a lot smoother out there for that, and have a less reliability issues with the gun choking on cheap El Cheapo Walmart value pack ammunition as well too. And I'll go to the next part right here for your bolt carrier. Whoop, almost dropped that thing. Don't want to do that. So the next part I polished up extremely well, basically the best as I could myself. Your area right here where you have your two dimples right here, this area for whatever reason is always rubbing on the inside of the front sight block. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's front sight block, front trunnion area up above there, and that basically goes up into your gas piston area. And you want to have that area really slicked up right there for that as well too. Slick this whole damn thing up all along here where your two dimples are. You see those two dimples? There's the one on the right side, and you get the one on the left side as well too. You want those two areas extremely slick, because whenever I first got this gun, I took it to range and I shot about 20 or 30 slugs through it at about 50 yards, and it was shooting high as some of these guns do out there. My one, I basically adjusted the front sight. It's almost up to the top where the actual two pieces are at, like that. It's basically still shooting just a tad high, and I'm gonna have to put some kind of a red dot on this thing, because the front sights are probably just a little bit wonky on there for that. But by doing that, these two areas, at least on my bolt, it had one right here, 2 and 3 and 4. It had about 4 different areas on each. Well, it was basically 4 overall, but it was like 2 on each side right there for that. And it had like lines going into the actual paint right there. And by stripping the bolt down to bare metal and polishing those areas up right there that have a lot of contact with the inside of the front sight, or I said the rear sight block, and doing that, it'll basically eliminate virtually all the friction right there you have. So that's definitely a upgrade you want to do as well too, by highly polishing this whole entire area. That has this like raised bulged area right here where your two dimples are at, so you want to polish the piss out of that. And the next portion you want to do is the actual bolt itself right here. So let me get that aside right here right now. And what you want to do in your bolt, preferably, basically, I say the most minimum you want to do on there is actually polish up these components right. Let me see, this flip around here. Sorry about this, guys. Let me see, I can hold this better here for you. This thing's a bitch to hold out of right now, so let me see, I can do it like this instead. Here we go. That's better. Okay, you want to basically do 800, 1,000, and 1,500. This basically do for about maybe 15-20 minutes. You want to polish up these areas right along here, up this flat area, this angle piece right here, and just go right down here. Just polish the whole thing. The other portion is polish this area up right here, and polish up this little tab right here as well too. This is the opposite of the extractor as well too. So polish that whole area up. You don't have to make it mirror shine, but just get it nice and slick on her as you can possibly do, because I don't have any buffing wheels or anything else to do it over here with that. So it's all hand work. The other thing is I don't have any buffing wheels, so the last thing I did was the actual extractor piece right here. I basically hit with 800, 1,000, and 1,500 right there for that, and it polishes up quite nice on the front on here. It's no longer, it doesn't have any like a scaling. I believe the proper term is for the actual metal before you you know, polish and stuff like that. So it's slicker when it goes actually into the barrel, I should say, the actual I'm gonna call it the chamber right there for that. So this touch up your extractor area right there as well too. See how it's a little bit shiny right there as opposed to the rest of the metal, and it's kind of dull, the rest of the metal. And you just want to slick up those 3 areas, this 1, 2, and the extractor as well too for that, guys. So if anybody has any questions, comments, whatnot about something I just talked about here right now, feel free to leave me a message here, and I'll try to answer any questions you guys have about doing something like this. The overall time for doing all this work that's mentioned, usually about 4.5 hours if you're manually doing it by hand. So that's just a reference for my relative perspective for that, guys. So I'll see you guys. Have a nice day.